It's the Elsa Show with Clay Novak. Conservative views on world news. Brought to you by the Wellness Company. Prepare for the unexpected. And Refuge Medical. And now, it's time for the show.
Well, hey there. What's up, stranger?
Welcome back to your own.
In fact, I pulled one of my stunts on Clay that I seem to always pull. Like, hey, you know how we're going to have our first show back on this date? Guess what? I'm going to be in Florida again. Yeah. Yes. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know. I'm just not a good planner. I guess everything is very oh, I'm going to do this now. And then I remember there's actually other people in my life that I have to inform. I think I'm on my own island all the time. So I'm sorry about that.
You should just give me access to your calendar and then I can see things. Maybe that
would make the most sense. Yes, I'm going to do that. Definitely.
Hey, but welcome back. And we've got obviously tons going on. We've got a countdown to inauguration. We've got confirmations going on. And we're going to talk about almost all of that stuff right after this.
Hey, holy heck, I started off with a bang. I did not leave a banner on the bottom. We're starting this new season with a bang. Yeah. Oh my goodness. So you are right. There's so much going on. So as Clay said, we're going to be talking about the Pete Hegseth. I was saying it perfect before, just so we know that. I had it perfect. California fires, 4 more days till Trump, resignation of Christopher Wray, Fani Willis wants to get back in on the Trump trial. And then the last thing we're going to cover, if we have time, the TikTok ban. So let's see if we can get through everything. You cool with starting with that testimony? Because
let Pete was up yesterday. Massive viewership. I was personally shocked at the amount of people who sat and watched his testimony. It's probably more than anybody that I can remember. Mm-hmm. Watching C-SPANs probably since the Iran-Contra hearings. It was nuts the amount of people that either reached out to me or I saw post something about Pete's performance yesterday. Did you watch?
I watched bits and pieces. I got all the clips after. I didn't watch the whole thing through, but got all of the high and low lights of everything. I mean, I personally thought he did phenomenal. I felt like his responses, his temperament, everything spot on, perfect. I think he represented well. And they were coming for him, and with the same things over and over again, but they were coming for him. I thought he did well. What'd you think?
Yeah, it's no secret. I've never thought that he is the best pick for the SecDef. Nothing against him personally. I just don't think he's got the background for it. But he did very, very well yesterday. Impressed me personally. Great, like you said, great temperament. Yeah. There were some personal attacks in there. We'll probably talk about that. But he did a great job. His team did a great job prepping him. I think. And I've been a part of a couple of those teams that are prepping people for testimony. It's always an interesting process because a lot of it is guessing. His team did some great research and reconnaissance, whatever you want to call it, and said, okay, these are the things that they're going to ask you about. Let's get some responses down. And a lot of it is rehearsed and practiced and even memorized. But really, I think, he stuck to the basics, which is so important and really what I think all of us want from him, right?
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, they didn't, they were trying to put him on the defensive, right, to get him to be reactive and all of those things. And he was unflappable, and tell me what you think. Do you think that because so much of this has already been playing out in the public arena, all of those, nonstop hearing about the sexual assault allegations, the alcoholism or alcohol abuse, all of these things, it's almost like old news at this point. By the time they got to this, they were like, yeah. We've heard this all already. Do you think that took any steam out of their questioning?
I do. I think the media stole some thunder from those on the Armed Services Committee that were committed to going after him. Elizabeth Warrens and whoever, Joni Ernst a little bit, and Gillibrand and some others. But and not just them. Senator Kaine, I think, kind of went after him too. And, so. Yeah, it was one, it's old news. Two, that made it very, very easy for his team to prep. Like
Yes.
they knew that those were going to come up. They knew that the extramarital affairs were going to come up. They knew the accusations of, alcohol abuse or whatever you want to call it, were going to come up. The financial situation with the two veterans organizations that, he was involved with, that, there's accusation of financial mismanagement. They knew all that stuff was going to come up. So prepared responses for those, I think, were easy.
Yeah.
I also think that there was some probably, he was invited by probably every member of the Armed Services Committee to speak to them personally before testimony.
Yes. Right.
Not common. And I think he met with most of them. I think he got a little bit of overwatch and a little bit of protection from the conservatives, the Republicans. Who is it from Oklahoma? Mueller, the guy who dropped his coat. I can't remember it.
Yeah.
Milvain, I think his name is. Anyway, he was the one that was like, listen, how many of you Congress people have never seen another congressman show up drunk to vote at night? I don't know if you saw this little interview.
I missed that one. Yeah, we're going to pull that one up. Yeah.
A great job of taking all the accusations against Pete and basically turning them on all the Democrats. He raised the fact that, Secretary Austin walked away from the board at Raytheon, and everybody in Congress had to sign off on that for him to become the Secretary of Defense. And he even said it. He said, but that's okay when it's a Democrat nominee, a Democrat Secretary of Defense. And then he talked about his own mistakes in life. He's like, if it wasn't for my wife, I'd be in prison right now. Very much like Pete and his wife. So there was a lot of that protection going on, which I think was probably pre-coordinated. I think that was, which is fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. So I think that the before meetings were good. I think that, Elizabeth Warren, I don't think he met with, and I think she made a point of saying that out loud. But overall, he did a great job, but there were plenty of attacks on his character and not his qualifications.
Right. Yeah, we mentioned Warren a couple of times. This was my one and only favorite part of that exchange. Here we go.
Yes or no here. Come next. Time is short. I just need a yes or no.
I would consult with the president about what the policy should be at the Defense Department.
In other words, you're quite sure that every general who serves should not go directly into the defense industry for 10 years. You're not willing to make that same pledge?
I'm not a general, Senator.
Yeah, I like that. That was good. We have one more funny moment. I want to ask you another question, but I want to show them our other, I thought, funny moment. Here it is.
Pete, I'm actually going to ask you questions because I want to hear your answer. How many genders are there? Tough one.
Senator, there are two genders.
I know that well. I'm a she-he, so I'm on board.
Made a good joke.
But yeah, he did. He made a great joke. He asked, Pete, how many genders there are, and he said, I know, something to the effect of, I know because I'm a he, she, which was great.
It was great. It was great. So the biggest thing, among the ones that we mentioned that they kept drilling him on or the Democrats were drilling him on, were his statements and beliefs about women in the military, specifically combat. You're a military guy. What are your thoughts on his feelings about that?
So
Agree, disagree?
No, so I think he expressed himself well, and it really is about physical standards. And I say, I'm a retired guy, and I can say this, without any reservation. I can tell you that, I was an infantry guy my entire career, and a lot of that was as a light infantryman or paratrooper, where literally you carry everything you own on your back. And it is a tough physical life. There's a lot of sleeping outside under the worst conditions. There's no, I can tell you my first deployment to Afghanistan in 2002, I went an entire month without a shower.
Wow.
Okay. So when you start talking about introducing females into that environment, it's not just about the physicality, because I will tell you honestly, there are men in the infantry right now who cannot meet those physical standards. So what Pete was saying about making sure that people meet the standard, it's not just about women. It's about setting a high physical standard for those jobs that require it, and then allowing people in who can meet those high physical standards. Okay. Male or female, I don't think he cares.
Yeah. And he was consistent about that. Every time they hit him on it, that was the response. It's about meeting the standard, not lowering the standard. Correct. And I thought that was such an important point to make. It's not, you meet the standard, don't lower the standard just to get people in to meet your quotas and all of it. That's where he kept going with that. And yeah, I mean, I completely agree. And and I will go even further as a female. the men and women mixed together in those settings, it is not always a very good environment to
Correct.
do that, and so many things happen. I think even as part of that, one of the Democrats kind of referenced that, maybe accidentally making the point that I'm making, that, they wanted, and I forget who it is, I'm sorry, that they wanted to address the sexual assaults on female
Was Tony
service
Ernst
members.
and Kristen Gillibrand.
Thank you. Yes. So, in a way that kind of lends to the point that I'm quasi making here, that, this is the kind of stuff that goes on. You put people, men and women, in these types of environments. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of it. And I'm not saying that women should not be in the military. I'm just saying proceed with caution. I think his answer was best. If you meet the qualifications.
Yeah. He could have started another argument or made a counterpoint, which I'm sure, I would assume, was probably considered, and that, him and his team probably decided not to. And the question I would have turned around and asked, when this whole, do you believe women should serve in combat, and what are their, where should they fit in combat roles, et cetera, is, you Congress have the power and have had the power to open selective service in the draft to women. It's been proposed a number of times in the last 20 years. You Congress have refused to allow women to be, on an equal playing field with men when it comes to the draft.
Wow. Yeah.
So you're going to sit there and tell me that I need to make sure, as a Secretary of Defense, on equality and that equal roles are available and promotions and all these other things based on availability of roles in combat roles. But yet you Congress won't put women on the same, even playing field when it comes to selective service in the draft, which, oh, by the way, always focuses, when we enact a draft, the focus is not drafting, although it's part of it. We're not drafting cooks and truck drivers and mechanics, right?
Right. We're
drafting infantrymen. Like the vast majority of the infantrymen in Vietnam were not volunteers. They were all draftees, right?
Yeah.
And when we draft, that's who we're drafting. So he could have turned that around, shot that back at them. I assume chose not to keep it as non-confrontational as possible.
Sure.
But that could have been a point where, again, he flipped it over on Congress and said, listen, you play a role in this too. This isn't always about the president. It's not always about the Secretary of Defense. And could have flipped it on him, but he didn't. So, that's again, I've been outward spoken about this. I worry about his large organizational leadership background, which he doesn't have a lot of. But I think, based on his testimony, looking beyond the testimony, he clearly surrounded himself with a great team. The team that prepped him, the team that, did all of the work to get him sitting in that chair and prepared like he was. If he surrounds himself with a team like that, as he takes over as a secretary, because he's going to get confirmed. After yesterday, I think it's a done deal. Yeah,
it seems to be a foregone conclusion, pretty much, that went exceedingly well. I mean, that it looks like a go. And he was probably the most iffy one so far, right? I mean, you take out Matt Gaetz, obviously, to take that out. Yeah,
once Gaetz was removed, I would say Hegseth was probably the most, he was, I wouldn't even say controversial. I think he was, iffy is probably the best word, like you said.
Yeah.
He was probably under the most scrutiny, I think, for his relative position. So
yeah, absolutely.
He did great. But if he keeps a team like that around him as he takes over as a secretary, I think that bodes well for everyone. And again, I'm not, I've never been a support. I'm never going to root against him, though.
Right.
I can promise you that. If he gets
misgivings, trepidations.
He gets put in that seat, I want him to be successful. I want the Defense Department to be successful. I want our military to be back to where it was, when I joined, as the most powerful military on the planet, because I'm not convinced that's who we are right now. Yeah. So I hope, if he does get, I think he will get confirmed. I'm pretty confident he will. And I wish him the best of luck, because it's so important, that job.
Absolutely. How soon will we know? Do we have any idea?
So they can't confirm until after the inauguration.
Okay.
So for any of them, any of his picks can't be confirmed until after inauguration, but I would bet votes like his and some of these other ones, you're going to see a flurry of votes. 2021, probably not the 20th, probably not inauguration day, but 21, 22, 23, those days following, I think you're going to see rapid fire confirmation votes coming
Nice.
behind it. Yeah.
That's what we want. Let's just get the whole team lined up and go. And I definitely echo what you said about having that team around him. And I echo that in for all of them, everybody coming in to these leadership positions, wherever they're getting placed. I think that is probably the most important thing to have, as we've learned from, as President Trump has learned from his past administration, that he needs a solid team. Right, each one of them needs that solid, competent, trustworthy team around them. So I agree with that. If they all have the right people around them, this can only go phenomenally well. So yeah.
And there's
based
more,
on that.
yeah, there's more testimony going even today.
Right.
I think is it Rubio? I think Marco Rubio's testifying
Yes.
today for Sec State.
Yeah.
I think Pam Bondi is testifying today for Attorney General.
Mhm.
So there's a lot moving right now, which is good.
Yeah.
They're not sitting idly by.
Mhm.
I don't think these cans are going to get kicked down the road. I don't think he's going to have to do what he did last time,
Right.
which was put in a lot of temporaries waiting for confirmation, right?
Yes.
A lot of
Yeah.
acting this, acting that.
Mhm.
I don't think we're going to have that same problem, which is good.
Yeah, definitely. I would say all of the lessons have been learned from the last go around. He's not coming in green. Nobody's coming in green here. So it's yeah, that's what I want to see. I want to see everything. I want everything to start yesterday. I think that probably most of Americans can say the same thing right now. Like, let's just go. Let's go. People put it a little more flavorfully than I just did. But yeah.
Oh, by the way, folks, it is Wednesday
Yes.
at 3 p.m. Eastern time. Okay.
Yes.
And I say that Rubio and Bondi are testifying today. That is ongoing as we speak.
Yeah.
Just so you guys have a date timestamp for when we're doing this, and you don't yell at us later for not being live.
Yes, do not yell at us. And I'll tell you one more thing that's going on as of just probably within the past 10, 15 minutes before we came on. Clay and you and I did not get a chance to talk about this before we started, but tentative ceasefire is.
I saw it. I saw the headline.
Yeah.
You talked about this, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
This is the Trump effect. No
Yes.
joking around. We are 4 days, when this airs tomorrow, we will be 4 days from the inauguration. And what has already happened? A ceasefire deal with a prisoner exchange portion
Yes.
from Gaza. And oh, by the way, the spokesman from Hamas has confirmed this is a real thing.
Yeah. Basically what's happening is like, we don't want none of this. They're all throwing their hands up and going, I don't want any problem.
All hell's going to break loose. Isn't that what he said?
Yeah. Yes.
That's what he said, right?
That is what he said. Absolutely. So, I don't love that, Biden will take credit for this. Dude, it ain't about you. It is so not about. Yeah. So, but go ahead and think. And same thing with, I'm throwing another one out there very quickly. Same thing with the FDA now banning red dye number 3, because, they've only known for 30 years that it causes cancer. So they figured, let's hurry up and do something about that real quick so that we can get credit for banning it, which, by the way, guys, don't get excited. It's not taking effect until 2027 and 2028. So between now and then, you're still going to have all that cancer causing red dye number 3 in your food and drinks. So yeah.
You know what though? Give RFK some. He's got a little bit of threat behind him too, right?
Yeah, he does. Well, I think that's why this happened. I think that's why this happened at all. Otherwise it would not have, because 30 years has gone by. Now all of a sudden they're like, you know what? I think we're going to do something about this, guys. Yeah, just purely our own idea.
But like my point with RFK though is, it would not surprise me if he walked in and that timeline sped up.
Yeah. Oh, I believe that it will. And I hope that I'm correct, because I tell you, I'm laughing and I'm making light of it, which is my default for keeping myself from going into a fit of rage, because this fills me with pure rage that 30 years of knowing concretely that this is a cancer causing agent, and they hate us that much. They hate us that much. Our own government hates us that much that they would leave it in there and just, and that's just the tip of many icebergs. There were so many more things like this that have been going on for so long. So it fills me with actual rage as a mother, as a human being, obviously, as a mother, as a grandmother. My babies are so I think we all should be outraged and not settle for anything less than what RFK Jr. is setting out to do. And we hold him to it. and make sure he does what he said he's going to do. And we talked about this before. I'm coming into this new administration in a much more relaxed way than I would have been if it was a repeat of what we just had. Definitely different vibe, but not so relaxed that I won't be paying attention. That you said you're going to do this, you said you're going to do that. You better damn well do it. So, not to say
it's
right?
all great forward progress, right? And we knew, we even talked about. What did we say? 96 hours? 96 hours
Yes.
of him taking over after inauguration. There was going to be movement on the hostages, and now it's like it's 96 hours before.
Yes.
it's amazing the Trump effect, because that's what this is. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It is so awesome. What is not awesome is what's been going on over in California. Oh my goodness! I tell you. I mean, I think like everybody else, we've been watching this nonstop with just like this sense of horror. Like, how is this like this? How is this happening? How is this extending so far? And then, of course, there's, you dip into the conspiracy lane, which I hate calling it a conspiracy, but that's what I'm going to call it, just for lack of a better word at the moment. All of these other factors that come in and really make it all super, super questionable. There's questions of, and I don't think there is any confirmation whatsoever of this. You can't trust videos that you see anymore because you don't know if they're doctored. You don't know until you know. But certainly so many accusations right now of the fires being set deliberately. All of these things, none of it changes the fact that there are areas of California that are completely decimated, just burnt down to the ground, all starting with on January 7th. So just to give like that quick little timeline, January 7th, the Palisades fire ignited in the Pacific Palisades district of Los Angeles, spread because of the strong winds. The strong winds has always been an issue there. The fire risk has always been high, certain times a year, more so than others. And correct me if I'm wrong, Clay, this is not typically the time of year where it's that much of an issue. Am I wrong?
Yeah. So normally, because it's wintertime, there's at least some level of precipitation. So it's it's not as dry as it normally, it's drier now this year than it has been in the past, but those Santa Ana winds, right?
Yes.
You're talking, for those that aren't familiar, those are like 90 to 100 mile an hour winds. These are approaching tornado, hurricane level winds. I know by the terrain channels it, right, as they've got all these valleys and things through there. So, no, normally the fire risk is a little bit lower now because you've got winter precipitation, but it's been dry. It is, and this is just a dry year, and it's been exacerbated by everything else that I'm sure you're about to talk about.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So as of right now, it says the fire has scorched over 23,700 acres, destroyed more than 5,300 structures, and led to multiple fatalities. And of course, we know the evacuations. The Eaton fire began near Pasadena and Altadena. Altadena, did I say that right?
Altadena,
Thank you. Didn't sound right for a second there. Burning another, 14,000 plus acres. And of course, the property damage, loss of life, obviously. On January 8th, there was the Hearst fire that happened or erupted in Los Angeles County, covered around 800 acres. More evacuations, of course. I mean, this is almost a matter of course. Well, not almost. It is a matter of course. Then the Lydia fire, another Los Angeles County, another 400 acres. January 9th, the Sunset fire. January 10th, the Kenneth fires. January 12th, where are we? So now in as of January 12th, the combined impact of the wildfires resulted in at least 24 fatalities, over 12,000 structures lost, economic losses estimating at $250 billion. And then the last thing I have here, nope, that's not the last thing. No, we'll go down to this last thing. As of today, today, the 15th, the high winds are persisting, fire conditions, and are hindering fire containment efforts. Evacuation orders are still in order. And it's just madness. And then you have, Gavin Newsom lifting regulations to rebuild California. This is now, so here, let me kind of go backwards before I go forward to that. So the left is saying climate change, it's all climate change, and that's why this happened. And the right is saying, hold up, wait a minute. Let's talk about your governor. Let's talk about your fire chief. Let's talk about your mayor. Let's talk about these people and the gross mismanagement and failure to do your jobs and to protect these areas that they know are fire prone. the clearing of the brush. And then they made fun of, Gavin Newsom made fun of President Trump for saying, you got to rake it all up, Well, it's like Tinder. And here's what happened. So, but the left doesn't want to look at that. They're like, no, you're crazy. You're politicizing this. It's climate change. Give me your take on this, Clay, because I'm.
Listen, there are let's take a few of the kind of further out there theories on this thing. And
there's some good ones.
There's some, like, I've heard high energy weapons, right?
I've
like
heard
this
it.
is,
Yes.
so that, like, I'm not even going to entertain that.
Right.
There's a lot of people that say, oh, this is just like Hawaii because blue trash cans aren't burning like the blue roofs in Hawaii and the fire. Right. So there's that. There's people that are saying this was set deliberately because if you look, the fires mirror where this new railway system is supposed to be. So it makes it easier to claim eminent domain because the structures are gone. Right. This is in preparation for the 2028 Olympics. So they can
I have not heard that one.
Build new facilities.
Okay.
Makes it easier to do that. There's a lot of, in my opinion, whacked out theories out there.
Yes.
Okay?
I'll tell you the darkest one I've heard if you don't know it already.
So there's one that this is all covering the pedophile chain. Yeah, this is all burning evidence across the entirety of Los Angeles. I don't buy that either. I think that this is, simplest explanation, Occam's razor. This is Mother Nature, right? Still undefeated, mixed with incompetence, right? So mismanagement of fire prevention. You have misplaced priorities in that, budget cuts against, fire departments. You have reallocation of funds, right? So you've got taxes that are paid by residents to back their fire departments and police departments and, their road networks, all the infrastructure stuff that has been reallocated to taking care of illegal immigrants, DEI programs and some other things. There are some very incompetent and very highly paid people in some very powerful positions, including water management, fire departments, those sorts of things. But at the top of all of this is Gavin Newsom. And this is the environment and the culture of California. And listen, folks, I am never going to be the guy that says you get what you deserve. Okay. That is not what this is about. And anybody who says that about these people in California who are suffering through this, you probably need to check yourself a little bit. You
need a heart check because
nobody deserves this.
No,
but
it's awful.
Sitting at the top of this is Gavin Newsom because he is the governor. This is the environment that he is, built within California. These are the programs that he has supported and pushed for. And it trickles down. It trickles down into Los Angeles. The mayor is culpable in this. The fire chief is culpable in this. But it all builds from the top. So, Gavin Newsom's certainly not getting a pass from me. I think we all, as much as we dodged a bullet with Kamala, we dodged a massive, massive bullet because there was talk. You remember we talked about him either
a lot of speculation over that
being the presidential primary candidate or even being a vice presidential candidate. And we dodged a massive bullet. I also think this is the end of Gavin Newsom as a politician.
I think so. I think this is finally the thing.
Yeah, we will never have to worry about him running for president with any validity whatsoever in the aftermath of this.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. And a couple things about, just addressing the different theories of the why of this. None of them, with the exception of the, burning evidence with the whole Epstein stuff and Diddy and everything. With the exception of that one, all of the other ones, I'd have to say, timing's off. Why would they do this right now? Do it under Trump so you can somehow deflect the blame to him. So for them to, do it right now for any of those, it doesn't fit. It doesn't really fit. I get it. They're talking about the smart cities that they want to wipe it all out to do that. It's not vibing for me. The intentional fire settings, I feel like there could be some plausibility to that. But again, we've set up an environment now because of AI. And because the rampant use of it, you have no idea the videos that you're watching are real or not, so I can't even in seriousness address any of it until you give me something that concretely says and that can be confirmed, so that's the world we're living in. Like, you can't even believe anything that you see anymore. So very exhausting on that level. As far as Gavin Newsom, so in the whole climate change thing, in this argument, and I just had somebody comment to me, I don't know. I think they were essentially calling me like a Bible thumper and a climate denier, which is hilarious because I've never denied that climate exists. Climate is a thing. Climate, it's like weather. We know that weather, even if you read your Bible, we all know that weather is real, but whatever. The whole climate thing. So all of their regulations and all of the things that they have put in place. So we've talked about it just now with all of this. The reason for diverting funds and all of those things is to protect, the environment and all that stuff. So Gavin Newsom did an interview, gave a little interview there with the backdrop of the fire stuff behind him and everything. And this is probably the most concrete thing I've seen him say or do that really proves that the whole climate change crap BS that they are trying to sell everyone is exactly that. And here's why. Here it is.
Of rebuilding as it relates to scarcity, as it relates to property taxes, meaning scarcity of resources, materials, personnel. I'm worried about time to getting these projects done. And so we want to fast track by eliminating any CEQA requirements. I got Coastal Act changes that we're making. I want to make sure when someone rebuilds that they have their old property tax assessments and that they're not increased.
Yeah. So what he's saying is all of the protections that we've put in place, all of the legislation and regulations and things that we've put in place for climate change protection, we're just going to roll those back right now so we can hurry up and build everything. So you're going to, the biggest existential threat to life in the world, climate change, according to Biden, we're just going to set that all aside so we can build everything back up again. But then we'll start it all back up over again. Tells you everything you need to know right there.
Yeah, it does. And again, it's very California,
Yeah.
right? Environment that him and people like him have built.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there was some opportunistic fire starting.
Mm-hmm.
I think people, there's been plenty of claims. I've seen even police reports of people being arrested for arson. But more importantly, you've seen people that were like, well, there's evacuations. So evacuations are empty homes. So there's been looting. That's documented. No question about it. So when evil people have evil thoughts, right? They go and they just looted that neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
But if we wait too long, these things are all going to be burned and there's going to be nothing to loot. So let's accelerate this, and we'll there's been claims of like, hey, you need to evacuate the area, the fire's coming, and people go, oh, and they pack their stuff and they leave, and there's really no threat, or at least no evacuation order's been given. And as soon as they leave, their house gets looted.
Yeah.
So there are evil things happening there for sure.
Yeah.
I think you're right. This, all of this climate change stuff is being exploited as it has been for profit by a number of people over a number of years. And when it's not convenient, they press pause. And that's exactly what Newsom was talking about. So yeah, this is just more of the same. It's more crap that, people are being bamboozled into believing, and this is what happens. This is what happens when you don't do the right things, when you don't, when you have leadership that fails. Yeah. These are, the common person, bears the brunt of this. And that's exactly what's going on in California right now. Nobody deserves this, but somebody needs to be held accountable. And that guy you had on the screen is at the top of the list.
Yes. And he should be saying, the buck stops here, blah, blah, blah. And of course, he's not going to say he's, deflecting to Trump, of course, that's their default to somehow, some way make it Trump's fault. Trump, who is on video multiple times, warning you, telling you, this is what's going to happen if you don't do these things. And they're like, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about, blah, blah. Yep. Well, here he is being right again. And I want to touch back quickly on what you're saying before, because I think it is important, that the public is kind of, in a lot of ways, not all, not completely, but kind of has this attitude of, oh, it's all rich people. They're fine. They've got they'll go to their other home. Whoop-de-doo. Like, stop. I get it. Yes, it is much easier, and especially when you make the comparisons to North Carolina, people in the South who are still living out of tents, who are, are just in absolute horrific circumstances without a second home to go to, without any of those things. I get that. It is highly insulting. I agree that it's highly insulting for Biden to get in front of the camera and say, no expense spared, no resources spared. We're going to give you anything you want to rebuild and fix everything and make it all better, when they gave, North Carolina folks like $750 loans.
He did put a price tag just yesterday,
I think I saw that.
$770. So
yeah, what happened to the no expense spared? Somebody must have said, "Hey, Joe, hang on, Joe."
He took a nap and forgot.
Yeah. Yes, totally forgot, and they had to backpedal that. But you say all that stuff, but I mean, just take a look at, we do have a little video here. It's just short. I don't think I have any sound on it, but I mean, this is real. This is what people are experiencing. Imagine being in those cars, driving by and driving out of your home, and all you can take with you is, a handful of things. If you're lucky. I mean, this is what the sky looks like. I mean, this is terrifying. And I'm sure you've seen the videos of people literally fleeing their homes and being surrounded by like a wall of fire. I mean, this is terrifying. And whether you are, filthy, stinking rich or dirt poor, you're still lost your memories, all of the things that made your house a home, your pictures, your mementos, and then people lost their pets. Like so much stuff is happening. So whether you're rich or poor, loss is loss. Heartbreak is heartbreak. So, find the compassion a little bit, whether you like them or not. And everybody knows damn well that I don't like these people very much, as far as the Hollywood crowd, but you can still have a heart for people's loss of, life.
And, listen, there's going to be discussions had after this is over with about fire prevention, about fire systems. There's a practicality to this that everybody needs to remember, and that is that every time a house burns down, I mean, think about how many sinks and faucets and whatnot do you have,
right?
So unless you and your neighbor and you know what I mean, like unless there's a valve system that shuts off whole neighborhoods, I'm pretty sure there isn't. Like as those neighborhoods burned, the water pressure goes down because those houses, all those faucets and fixtures and all that other stuff in those neighborhoods, they're all burnt, but they're all open now.
Yes.
Right. So, we're gonna learn a lot from this, unfortunately. And I think one of the other things we're gonna learn about this is you need gas-powered vehicles.
Yes, you do.
Can you imagine being the person that gets told you have to evacuate right now, and your electric car is at a quarter of a charge?
Yeah.
Like, where are you going to go? Like you're screwed. You're done. Yes. But that's the environment that everybody has been pushing. So, we're going to learn a lot from this. Hopefully it's done in a dignified manner. But I hope that it's a very realistic view of things that we should and shouldn't move forward on, in cases like this, because this isn't the last one of these we're going to see.
Oh, absolutely not. Right.
Whether it's hurricanes, whether it's tornadoes, whether it's earthquakes, fires, floods, whatever it is, we haven't seen the last of Mother Nature. So we need to take heed on this one, learn some lessons, and make some really hard decisions about making sure people can survive and not just protecting the smelt fish or whatever, craziness they've been talking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the, trillions of gallons of water that get diverted right onto the ocean, right? The rainwater and melting snow caps and everything that they just divert right to the ocean. Like, we don't need that. Don't worry about that. Yeah. Mismanagement to a stunning degree. So they will all be held accountable. I will be shocked if this wasn't the thing, because now, and I'm going to be that guy, I'm going to be a little bit petty there for a second. All the people that never get affected by anything have now just been gravely affected. And they're not going to stand for that because they just lost all their stuff. They have power, they have influence, they do have money, all of those things. They're not going to be, saying, we love Gavin, he's so great, let's save the smelt.
Listen,
so they are smelt.
Michael Rappaport is a prime example. You and I have
a great example.
He's flipped over in the last couple of years, and has really, I think, especially post October 7th, him being a Jewish American, he has flipped on his, home Democratic Party. He went off on Gavin Newsom yesterday.
Yes, he did. I saw
went
that.
Off. And so you're going to start seeing more of that. And we've already seen it. There's already a lot of the Hollywood elite that are going, that are speaking their mind. We're going to see more of that. And when we're going to see even more of that? About 4 days from now, when the inauguration rolls through. I mean, we've seen it with Zuckerberg, right? We've seen all these people.
That's a huge one. Yeah.
But we're going to see a lot more of this.
Yes.
And it's, my fear is that something is going to happen that day. I know that that's not something we ever want to talk about. And I'm not even talking about to President Trump. I'm just talking in general.
Yeah.
25,000 law enforcement and military in the Capitol, I think is what they're talking about.
Yeah.
But let's focus on the positive.
Yeah.
What are you hoping in the first, I don't know,
Ooh.
72 hours? What are you
Oh
hoping
my
for?
goodness. So I'd like to see some big radical repeals of some of the garbage that Biden has done. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the executive orders that are just, that pen is going to be flying. So many things. I mean, I'm just really, the overarching theme for me is I'm just looking so forward to a sense of normalcy, just a return to common sense, and a silencing. And I'm not saying, it's not that I want people with differing opinions to be silenced. Run your mouth, go crazy, have your little crazy party, believe what you want to believe, all of those things, but no longer are they going to be the dominant voice, ruling this crazy minority with these insane ideologies, dictating to the rest of us, the entire country, how to live. So that's the biggest thing I'm looking forward to, that more people are going to be standing up and saying, yeah, you know what, we're not being oppressed. You're seeing it, like you said, we're seeing it on the social media platform, Zuckerberg, kissing the ring, all of that stuff. We're seeing corporations and companies rolling back their DEI initiatives and all of that stuff. So you're seeing it already beginning, and I just look forward to that really kind of just permeating the country, and people waking up going, oh, this is so much nicer. This is so much better. Our economy improving, everything, our relations with other countries improving. The list is massive. But you asked me a very focused question, and I went big.
Big's okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's because I want all of it like immediately, which is right in line with my personality. If I want something, I want it yesterday. If I decide it right now, I want it to happen yesterday. How about you? I'll turn around and ask you. You're going to give a much more succinct answer than
No,
than
I think the repeals are what I'm looking for. So there's been a lot of crap that President Biden has dumped in the last 3 weeks. He tried again with student loan forgiveness. He's tried, he tried again with the no offshore drilling. And now these are all, none of them are law. They're all, presidential directives or executive orders. They can all be flipped over with a signature.
Right.
So those are the things that I want addressed first. I almost think they were done purposefully, not because they are things that President Biden wants done, but it's to give President Trump more work to undo.
Yes.
Right? So I think the repeals or the overturn of the stupid of the last, month or so, I want those done immediately. And then, and then there is the long list. There is the deportations, I think, that are mandatory. I think, you're going to see a lot of that come with the confirmation of his cabinet and all of his, his leadership team that he's putting in place. But flipping over this crap from the last 3 weeks, I think is probably, I hope somebody, and I'm sure they are, somebody sitting on the side.
Oh, yeah.
They're going like, yep, we're flipping that one on day one.
Yeah.
We're flipping that one, and they're just, and they're typing them out. Like they're
absolutely.
already,
That stack, those folders that he signs and then closes and passes over, that stack is just going zoop, 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 zoop.
And listen, I know you've done it. I've done it on a couple of occasions. When you sit and sign a bunch of books, like I've done it as an author. I know you have, right? You sign a bunch of books. Like after a while, you're like, my signature doesn't even look like my signature anymore.
It's just like an E in a line.
Yeah, and that's what his hand's going to look like. The signature on the last 5 are going to be atrocious.
Oh yeah.
But that's what he's going to have to do in the first 72 hours is he's going to have to clean up a lot of trash.
Right.
And it goes along with, we already talked about the Gaza thing, right? The Trump effect. There's going to be so many things that we aren't going to have to worry about anymore.
Right.
And a lot of it is the senility of President Biden, these things that he's doing and saying. Have you seen his farewell letter, or at least some of the contents of his farewell letter?
Oh, I shudder at the thought. It's as bad as I would imagine it is. Yeah.
It's all the fabricated lies that we created this many jobs, not talking about the fact that, they destroyed so many jobs to create more jobs. But, it's all of those very flipped over, kind of iconic terms that, Vice President Harris tried to carry through her attempt at being the president.
Yeah.
Failed miserably. So there's a lot of that.
Yeah, the whole like we're handing over the strongest economy ever seen in the history of the world.
By the way, his last full month in office in December, inflation went up again.
Again,
right?
yeah.
So it is his farewell letter is all of that. It was probably penned by Jill, who's probably upset that she's got to pack her stuff and get out of the house.
Oh yeah, she's leaving some nastiness behind. She's got some tricks up her sleeve. I'd make sure that place is fumigated, aired out, everything, because she's not going to be nice. So let's see. So here's just like a kind of a handful of things that he's leaving in his wake here. So, going back to December, he announced nearly $2.5 billion in assistance for Ukraine, commuted a bunch of death row sentences, granted clemency to a record number of prisoners. All really horrible people, by the way.
A lot of them, yeah.
Horrible people. Some exceptions, of course, but did his handing out of the medals to citizens and some service members, namely Hillary Clinton and George Soros. I mean, yeah, yeah. I'll just leave that right there. Only good thing he did that I was able to find was that he signed into law the Social Security Fairness Act. As a law enforcement family, that's one of the groups that is positively impacted by that. So that was interesting that he, at least for us, did something good. Expanded veterans benefits, and of course, forgiving student debt again. So yeah, Yeah.
And there's, he did some offshore drilling bans. He did, some of those other things. Mm-hmm. President Trump's going to come in. I know there's a list. They're probably pre-written. He's going to sign a bunch of stuff. Executive orders are all going to be flipped over. If it's not a law, it's gone. I can promise you that's going to happen. So, but we got 4 more days. Just hoping that Monday goes off without a hitch.
Yes, I will be very, my prayerful people, get those prayers up. I don't know if you're not a praying person, please at least thoughts and wishes. I don't know. But yes, I do feel that same sense of low key anxiety. Somebody asked me if I was going to be having a watch party. And I said, to be honest with you, I don't actually even know if I will watch. If it literally fills me with anxiety. I think I have this, like, I don't know. And I apology for using this term kind of loosely, but I feel like I have this like version of PTSD after his assassination attempt that I just don't want to be watching, and I hate to even talk about that. Like you said, hate to even discuss it in the realm of possibilities, but I just don't want to be watching. I know there's people that are like, I'm not tuning out for 1 minute. I'm going to watch every second of it. I'll get all the highlights after, maybe tune in here and there. There's going to be a lot of great stuff. Carrie Underwood is going to be performing. That is going to be spectacular.
Dubbed un-American by Joy Behar for doing so. Of course.
Okay, Joy. Yeah. Shut up, Joy. Can't stand those people.
Yeah, the village people, both the night before and the day of.
That's going to be awesome.
Performing first time ever. They've allowed themselves to be and their music to be politicized, which is pretty cool.
It's very cool.
Yeah, but it's got all the people you think, Kid Rock, and I know he's the night before. There's some others in there, but yes, Carrie Underwood's going to perform.
Yeah. That's probably the biggest name, right? I think.
I would say so. Yeah. So I mean, it's a presidential inauguration. We should all be celebrating regardless.
Absolutely.
If nothing else, it's a demonstration of freedom and democracy. Yes. Whether your candidate won or not, we do still have a free election every 4 years.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how this country goes. But we're seeing the demise very rapidly of President Biden's administration. We said Christopher Wray, is resigned or resigning. In his wake, I don't know if you saw this, but one of his last kind of things that he stated was, by the way, the Chinese have a capability of, they've already hacked into all of our infrastructure and our water systems, and they have the capability to take down the United States right now. They've got cells in place and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, well, what the hell have you been doing?
What have you been doing? In his mind, that's like the match on the matchbook and just doing this and walking away going, your problem, not mine. That tells you how much these people, again, hate us.
Yeah, and listen, and I have no doubt that what he's saying, there's some validity behind it. Mm-hmm. 1, you haven't said anything until now for a reason.
Yep.
2, you clearly haven't. If you've done anything, been very quiet, and you've done it quietly for a reason. So staying that on your way out the door, in a voluntary resignation, by the way, he still has 7 years, I think, on his contract to be the director. And he's walking out voluntarily because, one, he doesn't want to be fired, and two, he doesn't want to stand in front of President Trump.
Exactly.
So he's quitting. And then just throwing that little hand grenade out there on the way out the door. Oh, by the way, the Chinese can ruin us anytime they want to. I'm out. And he bailed. So that is just, I think, so representative of the entire Biden team.
Yeah.
Like that in a nutshell is just everybody there.
Yeah. Oh, every single one of them. All they care about is just blowing it all up on the way out. There was never a single minute of love for this country and the best interests of this country and the people in it. Never a single minute of it. And everything that they're doing right now is concrete, absolute proof of that, right? Disgusting. And I hope there is a way that these people can be brought up and do get brought up on criminal charges, whether it's treason, whatever. Obviously, I want it to be all genuine and legit charges, but I want to see them all charged. I want them all.
Pam Bondi is like, that lady's got some energy. And I don't think she's probably not going to sleep for the next 4 years. She's going to get a lot of stuff done.
Yeah, she is.
So I think, she's probably, Santa Claus in it right now. She's making lists, and the appropriate people. I think, her level of fearlessness, I think, is going to be very interesting to watch.
Yeah.
Who she takes on, how, and for what reason. Like you said, legitimate, right? Holding people accountable legitimately. I think given every opportunity, she will. I don't think there's going to be any fabrication. I also don't think we're going to see like the lawfare thing go in reverse. I think President Trump will let a lot of that go. But I think given the opportunity for legitimate accountability, I'm not going to shy away from it either.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to. I agree with you. I don't think they're going to pursue anything that they don't have concrete, solid, provable evidence on and can get a conviction on it. They're not going to waste their time with stuff. And that is unfortunate. There are some things that there are some people who are, going to slip through the cracks and get away with the garbage that they have done. And yes, that is a frustration, but I think we do all have to look at the bigger picture, win the battles that you can win, that you're going to win, and and go from there. But speaking of battles that can't be won, I quickly talk about Fannie.
I don't get this. Like, I don't know why on the doorstep of President Trump stepping back into office, she is requested to be back involved with the Trump trial in Georgia. Like, I don't. This is the dumbest move ever.
It's ego. It's ego. This woman is like profoundly arrogant.
Yeah, and it's never going to happen. Like, she's never going to get approved. So I don't even know why she's asking. Yeah.
No, she's just bonkers. And, I hope they're laughing her right out. Like, get out of here with your crazy talk. Yeah, her reasoning is stupid. It's just like, go away. Like, you're getting the opportunity to, do your walk of shame quietly, and you want to do it loud. I mean, knock yourself out if that's what you want to do. But good grief, what a fool.
She's lucky she didn't get fired. Completely fired.
Yes.
And she walked away with her job intact, and now she wants to raise the alarm again. And it's like, all she's doing is poking the bear, and it's not going to turn out well for her. So
no, not at all.
Was a horrible. Whoever advised her that was a good idea was not doing her any favors.
I honestly, based on what I've seen from her testimony, her attitude, all of those things, I think it's 100% her. 100% her absolute arrogance in believing that she is completely right. Everybody else is wrong. Yeah, she's, that seems to be her MO on everything. She takes zero accountability for anything, She
reminds me of that mayor in Illinois, the super mayor lady who's, so she's been, she's losing her job. But she's like, she's the mayor. She's spent an exorbitant amount of money on like personal stuff. She's just ruined the budget for the town. She's super arrogant.
Yep. They have a documentary or something out on her or something.
Yeah, I think so. I've just, I've seen her a bunch, and that's the kind of arrogance that Fannie Willis displayed. Yeah. There's a similarity there. Yeah. But the last,
oh my gosh.
Here's the last.
Oh my gosh. This one.
When's this supposed to happen? I don't do TikTok.
The day, yeah, no,
Your
it's my thing.
Yeah.
So the day before the inauguration, that is supposed to be when it's supposed to take effect. So the 19th, it's supposed to take effect. So here's the funny thing. As we know, I've talked so many times over the past, however long, about TikTok, about my TikTok, sharing them, talking about them, blah blah blah. TikTok has changed for me quite a bit over the past, I don't know, 6 months or so. They've made this crazy shift into being a very salesy type thing. So they push forward videos where you're selling products and stuff. It's basically like a live version Temu. I don't even know how to say it,
I know,
but whatever it is. Yeah. And
fair.
that's not my vibe. So my viewership has I have 249,000 followers, and since they started doing this, my views dropped down. I think my videos get maybe like 1,000 to 2,000 views on them, where they used to be in the tens and hundreds of thousands. So wow. That's a complete nosedive. And my ego refuses to believe that has anything to do with the quality of my videos. Maybe it is, I don't know.
That's algorithm change.
It's a massive algorithm change. I'm not a salesy kind of person, so I can't do that. Like, guys, do you want to buy this phone? I have to tell you it's the greatest phone. No, it's so obnoxious. I can't do it. And more power to anybody who does it. All regardless. So point being, I've been a little bit ambivalent about all of this, because it's like TikTok kind of stopped working for me and stopped being beneficial to me, because the people who follow my content don't even see it. So, whatever, if that changes, great. But there's so many people, Americans, there's so many people on there that have built careers out of this, whether you like it or not, or agree with it, or think it's stupid. It's all besides the point. You're talking about people that were able to quit their day jobs to be content creators, be home with their families, and make a living out of doing this. And now, we're talking about thousands and thousands and thousands of people who have made a career of this, and they're about to lose their livelihood. So that's sad and scary. And their reasoning always is, China. Mind you, their big statement is, well, China's getting your information and they can, swipe your data and blah, 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 all that stuff. And they're infiltrating. Funny how it's only TikTok they have a problem with. They don't have a problem with Temu. They don't have a problem with Shine or Sheen or however you pronounce it. I don't even know how to pronounce these names. I'm sorry. Just this one Chinese app. Meanwhile, they're pushing something else called Red Note, which is like all in Chinese, but they're like, everybody join this one. So I'm not buying all of it. I think it's crock. I have no idea if it's actually going to get banned or not. It's all in Congress right now.
I don't think anybody does.
Nobody knows. The hearings are ongoing. Testimony from both sides of the matter. There is rumors of, what's his name? Kevin Leary? No. Who's the Shark Tank guy?
Oh, I don't know. I know what you're talking about. I don't know his name. But.
Okay. So there's Tim. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Whoever he is. Y'all know who he is. I don't. I'm sorry. Talks about him buying TikTok. Talk about them selling to Elon Musk.
Yeah. Which
Clay and I talked about this before we went on air. I have very mixed feelings about this. There is one part of me that says, you know what? Great. Do it. Save it. Keep it for us so we can, people can continue to do what they do on there. But then there's the other part of me that's like, it's a lot of control. It's a lot of ownership over social media, over platforms for one individual to have. That's a little concerning for me, no matter who it would be. Right now, I essentially like Elon, as much as you can like anybody that you don't actually know. But I don't know. We'll see. I mean, there is literally no one in the know.
Right into good versus evil. You've got Meta versus X, and you really have, two people controlling 95% of social media amongst the platform. So I think that's a horrible idea. I think personally, I think Meta should be broken up, but that's a different discussion. But we'll have to see what happens with TikTok. I don't know. I don't think anybody knows. We'll have to see, when Sunday rolls around, if it gets shut down or not. My guess is it won't. I think we are a long way away from that happening, but that'll affect a lot of people, and it will not affect me.
It's and I get that for so many people who are not on it, who don't like it, who have whatever feelings they have about it. They're like, I don't care, make it gone. One less social media platform where people are doing stupid things and getting attention for it. Great, make it gone. I get it. TikTok has been good to me. It was my first platform. It was the
Right.
first place where, I broke, the 100,000 followers, and into the 200,000, so I will be sad. It was a great home for content creation for a long time. If it sticks around, I hope it goes back to that version of it. But we'll see. I don't know. Whatever happens will happen. Whatever will be. Que sera, que sera. So that's it. That was our last topic for today. I mean, we actually crammed in a whole heck of a lot of stuff. We really did. A couple of extra ones we threw in there on the fly, just because they were happening on the fly. But as Clay mentioned, we are recording. This is Wednesday for us. You're going to be watching it Thursday evening. We'll be sitting in the comments section watching with you. So don't be afraid. Don't be shy to engage. We're here. We're going to be commenting with you and keeping track of stuff in there. And we thank you. I missed you guys last week. I missed you the past, what was it? Well, for me, 3 weeks. It was 2 weeks for you. And then guess what, guys? We won't be here next week.
Yeah, Elsa's got a personal engagement. Yeah. I've got something going on. For those of you in the outdoor shooting, hunting kind of world, I get to go to SHOT Show. If you know what that is, it's like Comic-Con for gun people. But it's a big thing. So I'm going to that next week. So neither of us are available. We will be back the following week. And we've got some interviews lining up. I'm not gonna make any reveals, but we got some big stuff going on. So stay tuned. You got anything else for him?
No, I think that's it. Like Clay said, we got a couple big names coming up for you. We're going to keep it secret for now until the dates are picked. But you are going to absolutely love them when you see who it is. That was part of our plan to add some more interviews in here, have some more guests come in and break things up and have some fun. So that'll be coming up. But yeah, I think that is it for this week. The news must stay on hold until we're ready to come back to you. No, we know that's not going to happen, but we thank you guys. We're glad to be back and have you back with us. And we will see you not next week, but the following week.
Hey, folks, as always, thanks for tuning in. And from me, keep moving, keep shooting.
Combat veteran Terry Davis left a life of violence for the quiet Midwest prairie, but a terror threat pulls him back into action. In Tampa, he makes allies and enemies as the danger unfolds. Relying on his combat-honed skills, Terry faces a threat far bigger than he imagined, unsure of who to trust. One thing is certain, to survive, he must keep moving, keep shooting.
Beat the winter blues with the Elsa Kurt collection. The holidays are over, and the cozy lights have faded. Now it's just you and those winter blues. But guess what? There's no better time to treat yourself to something joyful and comforting. Snuggle up under a warm blanket and dive into a new story. The Elsa Kurt collection has books to whisk you away, one page at a time. Stay stylish while keeping warm. Discover comfy statement wear in the collection that will wrap you in both comfort and confidence. Brighten your season and explore curated Amazon lists made just for you. Head to the Elsa Kurt collection now. Your cozy escape awaits.